Hello, hello. Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Happy week 11 to everyone out there. If you're in the chat, let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know how you're feeling. We are going to talk everything for today, DFS, anytime touchdowns, all that good stuff. If you are part of the stream crew that rode Chris Rodriguez in your season-long leagues, he's having a pretty decent game. Would have liked him to get that touchdown there early on in the game. They were on the he got him down to like the 2, and then they just never ran it again. I didn't understand that, but I mean, he's got 80 yards and a catch. Like, pretty solid little spot start there for Rodriguez. Still got a whole, quarter and 3 minutes left, so hopefully he can keep putting that together. I'd like to get a little 15 points out of him there. Kevin, what's up? CJ, what's up? Yeah, Ohio State is a cash cow. I think Ohio State is better than they were last year, which bodes well for them, heading into the playoffs for sure. But yeah, if you guys have questions, start funneling those in. I have went ahead and put my player pool for this week into SportWise, and you guys can access that for free on the website, and I will drop the link into chat as well. I just posted that in there. So if you're on YouTube or Twitch, the link is directly in the chat right there. If you click that, you can pull up what I have here on my screen, which is my Week 11 NFL DFS player pool. Pretty small. Obviously, this isn't like every single player I would consider playing, but this is the guys that stick out the most to me. And for hand build purposes, where I would want to ultimately be. Dewan, what's up? PPR season long question. Pearsall or Parker Washington, Adams or Pickens? Kevin, I would go Pickens over Adams. I think Adams is pretty banged up, so I would just trust Pickens there in what should be a pretty good spot for Dallas. Pearsall versus Parker Washington is closer for me. So I personally am starting Pearsall in my leagues that I have him in, which is quite a few of them. But I think Parker Washington would probably project slightly better. And I can actually double check that for you quickly. Let me see here. Parker Washington versus Pearsall. I'm seeing Washington around 12.5 to 13. And I'm seeing Ricky Pearsall around 10 to 11. So, yeah, so Washington projects slightly better. But I'm starting Pearsall on my leagues with him. I might lean Pearsall, Kevin, to be honest with you. This is a really, really good spot for the 49ers, like just talking from a higher level. They get Brock Purdy back. They have Kittle playing. They have Jennings playing. They have Pearsall playing. They have McCaffrey playing. Like, this is the first time in basically the entire season we're getting a semi-fully healthy version on offense of the San Francisco 49ers. And it's obviously a good spot against Arizona. Their defense has started to fall off a little bit in recent weeks. It's a 48.5 total. It's indoors. Really, really good spot, honestly, for the 49ers offense today. So I kind of want to buy into Ricky Pearsall a little bit. Scott, good morning, Ben. Let's win today. Let's do it. I like my builds a little bit. I'm taking some stands, playing some lower-owned guys. All my lineups are posted, by the way. So if you guys are interested in that and you know where to find that. But my lineups are posted. I've got the player pool loaded into SportWise here, and we're going to talk about it. Jesse mentioned his defense has been great the last 2 weeks. Completely agree. I think there's more systemic risk, True Love, like you just mentioned there. The Jaguars could come out and really not do much on offense. The 49ers are going to probably score some points today. Favorite GPP stack? Yeah, Ryan. We'll just segue that right into quarterback and kind of talk about it. So from an ownership standpoint, the top owned guys on DraftKings right now, JJ McCarthy, Jacoby Brissett are kind of interchangeable. I actually think Brissett will be higher owned. So Brissett and McCarthy, followed by Justin Herbert, Joe Flacco, Brock Purdy. And then you have like Aaron Rodgers is like the next up. So those are what we're seeing in terms of ownership projections. I think from a cash game perspective, you're playing Jacoby Brissett or JJ McCarthy, and it kind of just depends if you have the money. It's a $300 difference to get from Brissett up to McCarthy. So kind of depends if you have that 300 or not. I would personally lean Brissett only because he's cheaper, and I think the floor is relatively the same. I think if they both went out and had floor games, I think you're getting about the same points, and Brissett's cheaper. Now, ceiling-wise, I would say J.J. McCarthy has the higher ceiling, especially because he's been running a fair amount, and we know he can do that in the red zone. So if you're looking for ceiling, I would lean McCarthy, but I personally will probably have Brissett on my DraftKings cash team, and I think he's safer just because he's $300 cheaper, and I think the floor is relatively the same. From a tournament perspective, yes, Kevin, that was for DraftKings. FanDuel, I think you're playing Brock Purdy at his price 100%, Kevin. You were on the right track there. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. From a tournament perspective, to answer your question, Ryan, I really want to take a stand and play Sam Darnold today. Feel really, really good about the spot for the Seahawks. I think the Rams secondary is exploitable. The Seahawks have been putting up these crazy offensive games, and they've been getting completely zero pushback from anyone else. Like if we just look at the Seahawks schedule here, like 31-17 win over the Steelers. Sam Darnold had 302, basically 2 picks, right? That was pretty early on in the season. After that, the 44-13 win over the Saints at home, they got no pushback in that game. They had that crazy shootout against the Buccaneers, which I think is something you could see today. He had 341 yards and 4 touchdowns, right? So that's the type of game, like obviously that's ceiling level output, but I think that's what is in the potential range of outcomes for Darnold today. They beat up on the Commanders pretty handily. They beat up on the Cardinals pretty handily. And Jackson Smith-Njigba specifically is putting up these crazy games. He's like super high efficient, the most efficient player in the NFL right now. What he's doing on like a per route basis is absolutely insane. And he's not running any routes because in half of these games I just read off, he's not even playing really in the second half. If we catch him in a game like that Bucs game where he actually needs to run routes and it's a close game, like we could see 150 yards and a touchdown or two, like for sure. And I think Darnold, like with the way that Kubiak's been scheming this up and the way that they've been playing, like I don't really trust their running back situation right now. And I think you can pick on the Rams secondary a little bit. So I want to take a stand on Darnold today. He is my favorite tournament stack. If you want to go somewhere else, I would pick Purdy. Like I said, this is a really good spot for the 49ers. Cleanest they've been health-wise in quite some time. It's a good matchup. And I think both Purdy and Darnold are close enough in that mid 5K tier. Like they're close enough to McCarthy and Brissett that they probably won't get out of control in ownership. Purdy's popping for around 9%. Darnold is down at like 2-3%. I don't think you're going to get much ownership on that Seattle stack. And it's the best game of the day, in my opinion. We're looking at a 48.5 total, close spread. I think we could definitely see a shootout there, and I really, really want to take a stand on Sam Darnold today. Definitely think you can double him. So, Ryan, how I'm going to play it is I'm going to play him with Smith-Njigba and Rashid Shaheed. I like going Puka coming back because that gives you a little bit of a unique build, putting JSN with Puka, 2 super expensive receivers. At the same time, if we're looking at the big expensive receivers today, that being Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, I think Puka is going to come in as the lowest owned. I think people are scared off of playing him. I think there's a chance Puka's probably going to come behind both Jefferson and Rashee Rice too. Like I think Puka Nacua could get really, really squeezed in terms of his ownership today. People are worried about how banged up he's been. Hasn't been running a ton of routes the last few weeks. There's a chance today that this is a complete shootout. Puka plays more than we expect, and he just does Puka things, and you're getting him at like single-digit ownership for the first time this season. So I do like putting Puka on the opposite side of it. If you can't find the salary, I like getting a little bit unique and using tight end in the stack, which I've talked about on stream quite a few times this year. I think using tight ends in your stacks just makes so much sense. But instead of using a Seattle tight end, I like using Terrence Ferguson from the Los Angeles Rams. He's 2,500 on DraftKings today. I like Ferguson a lot at Oregon. If you guys remember, if you are tapped into the bets at all, we bet him to score a touchdown a couple times when he was at Oregon in their big games. He's a very, very good player. The problem is the Rams do run a bunch of tight ends. Like they're playing Higbee and Allen and these guys. Like he is not going to be the only tight end on the field. But Seattle is very, very vulnerable to tight ends. The only weak point of the Seattle Seahawks defense is they give up a lot of production to tight ends. So if I'm looking from a higher level of what the matchup says, the matchup for the Rams is best for their tight ends. So I think that's working in his favor. Secondly, he's the one that's getting deep down the field, deep looks, getting air yards, and all that stuff that we love when it pertains to fantasy. And I think talent-wise, he's the best tight end they have. So he's not going to be on the field a ton, but I think he could certainly score a touchdown today if this is a shootout. If he does, you're way ahead at 2,500. If he doesn't, I think 5 or 6, 7 points is in that range of outcomes as well, even in the event that he doesn't score a touchdown. Now, the problem is Trey McBride, huge projection. He's going to be very, very high owned. So, like, using Ferguson probably would open up the 2 tight end stuff for me to where you would play him and McBride both. But I do like Terrence Ferguson in game stacks at what should be pretty low ownership. How do you rank the spend up options? I would say JSN number 1 for me, clear and away. Chase number 2. For cash games, Ryan, let me do this. For cash games, Chase, CMC, JSN, Puka. For just my overall thoughts and for tournaments, JSN, Puka, Chase, CMC. That would be my order there. But for cash, I think you have to pick. I think you probably, I would lean Chase over CMC for cash right now, but I think you're picking one of those two. I don't know if you can, I don't think you can fit both of them. I just feel weird about CMC. I don't know. Like it feels scary to not have him in a cash build, but at the same time, Brian Robinson has been cutting into his role. He has no efficiency whatsoever left. Like we've talked about that on stream before too. Like he has to score 2 touchdowns at that price tag. And can he do that? 100%. That is certainly possible for him to do. But I don't know. Now, I'm not worried about the win in Pittsburgh, CJ. The win looks fine there. The total in that game has not moved. It's been stuck at 49-48 all week. The Buffalo Bills game, that total has come down a good bit. The Cleveland Ravens, that total's come down a little bit. So, I think you could be a little bit concerned there. The Buffalo game looks the worst to me in terms of the win stuff, but I'm not worried about it in Pittsburgh today. It looks fine. The total hasn't moved much, so not worrying a lot there. FanDuel 50-50 cash lineup trains. Do you play the chalk? Yeah. I've had this conversation too. So how I play cash games nowadays, I play the majority of my action in head-to-heads. And I'm going to force people to play the right team. Like the projections across the industry are so good now. Like you're basically, when it comes down to cash games weekly, you're picking between 3 or 4 lineups that all project within a point of each other. So it is really tough. You're flipping a coin a lot of the time, which I don't like to do. So that's why I like to play head-to-heads and just make people play the right team. If you get in the double ups and the 50-50s, there are going to be huge trains and you can get burned on that a little bit. I'm fine doing it more so on FanDuel than DraftKings, but yeah, it's super frustrating. And I just try to play majority of my action in cash in head-to-heads these days and just, play what I think is the best team and force people to do the same thing. I think the risk of like playing, I've tried at times to play like a lower owned team on FanDuel and it just burns me more often than not. So Yeah. Cash 2v2, Chase and Chase Brown or Jacobs McConkey. I'll take the first one there. All right, let's continue. We'll go to running back now. Once again, it's been the theme of the season, but really, really strong chalk group at running back again. We got Chase Brown, Jalen Warren, McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, Rico Dowdle, Josh Jacobs. Those guys are all going to get, over 14% ownership. I think they're all good plays. So majority of my teams, I'm going to be playing low-owned stacks and playing these chalk running backs. That's kind of been my MO all season. I'm going to go right back to it this week. If you want lower-owned running backs, I think Woody Marks, coming into the week, thought he was going to be high-owned. Doesn't appear he's going to be. So I'm good with Woody Marks in tournaments. I'm good with ETN in tournaments. And I'm good with James Cook in tournaments. Didn't end up making my lineups. I'm playing 4 teams on DraftKings today. Did not end up having James Cook in any of them. But with the bad weather, get right spot at home for the Bills, I do think, James Cook at 7,300 is viable for GPP. But I'm mainly going to be picking 2 or 3 of those chalkier tier guys. Really like Jacobs today. Jacobs is my favorite play on the slate. I think the Packers steamrolled the Giants today. Jameis Winston, I love him, but has historically struggled against zone defenses. The Packers play almost exclusively zone defense. It's not a good spot for him. We've talked about this. The way to beat the Packers is to run the ball. I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to do that. So I think the Packers could really have a big game here. On the defensive side of the ball, if he's turning the ball over, you can get some short fields. There's high touchdown equity with Jacobs. So for tournaments, Ryan, cash, I think he's viable for cash, but I don't like my builds with him. If you were going to play him in cash, it'd probably be more of a FanDuel move. But I don't have him on my cash team on either site. But for tournaments, I love Jacobs today. Really, really, really strong spot. I do, Taz, think JJ could have a big game. I think both JJs could wake up against Chicago today. I've talked about it all week on stream. I don't think the Bears team is as good as their record shows. I think you can beat their defense. It's indoors. McCarthy, his best game of the season came in week 1 against the Bears defense in that second half of the game. And it just feels like we're due for that classic Justin Jefferson game. I do think it could come today. I like him to score a touchdown. I like him in DFS. Should be pretty low owned just based off of, the recent results. People really don't want to play Justin Jefferson right now. So yeah, I do think he could have a big game, but running back, probably playing the chalk for the most part. At receiver, I already ranked the top guys answering that question earlier, but for cash games, I think you're looking at, Chase, JSN, Wan'Dale Robinson, Parker Washington, Michael Wilson, Juwan Jennings. I think that's the cash tier, honestly. For tournaments, I really like Quentin Johnston today. So if you guys are going to ask my favorite touchdown pick, I'm going to pick Quentin Johnston today. Really, really good spot. So the Jags defense has really fell off in recent weeks. They're pretty thinned out in certain areas. I know the line has been terrible for the Chargers at times, but I do think this is a spot where Justin Herbert can get going a little bit. The Jags give up a lot of stuff deep down the field. They give a lot of air yards per completion, a lot of yards per target, and all that stuff. You can beat them deep down the field. That's right into QJ's wheelhouse. I'm not worried about the injury. He practiced in full on Friday. So Quentin Johnston looks like a really, really strong play to me at 5K with upside. I know the emergence of Gadsden has kind of cut into him a little bit, but I don't know. I just have a feeling about QJ today. I bet him anytime touchdown 2-1 on DraftKings. I bet him first touchdown 10-1 on DraftKings, and I'm going to play him in some DFS teams as well. So I like him for GPP. Is there anyone else I'm missing? JSN taking a stand. I'm going to play a ton of him. I like Jacoby Myers as a pivot off of Parker Washington. I think there's a chance that Myers outscores him today. Parker Washington's projected for between 15 and 20% ownership, depending on what website you look at. Jacoby Myers is going to be 1% owned. So I do like Jacoby as a pivot off of Parker in GPP. And then you can do a little mini stack right there. You can play a chalky lineup and put QJ and Jacoby Myers in. You get some early information. It's a 1 o'clock game. It's a good matchup for both of them. Gadsden, I think, is fine as well. He could definitely have a good game today. I have no issues with Oronde Gadsden today. And I guess like Drake London, he's expensive at 74. I think you could look at him. I probably prefer him to Nico, and I think Nico Collins will be a little bit higher owned, but because he's cheaper. But Drake London, I think, is fine in GPP as well. And then tight end, like I said, just a massive projection on Trey McBride today. He's projected for almost 20 DraftKings points. He's projected for 50% ownership on DraftKings. It's probably going to be higher than that in the smaller field, stuff that I play. So tough to really fade him. I think you play him in cash. I think you look at some double tight end stuff in tournaments if you want to play a lower owned tight end. Gadsden and Kittle would be my two other favorite guys, and then Terrence Ferguson, who I talked about a little bit in my Seattle stacks, I like as well. From a betting perspective, really didn't take any sides today. I would lean Minnesota over Chicago at a 2.5. I like that. I think the Vikings are better than the Bears. They're at home. I think this is a potential get-right spot for the Vikings offense a little bit. So I would lean Vikings at 2.5. I like Packers. I think they roll the Giants. So you could take them. You're getting 7 and a hook, though. So I don't know. I think they'll probably win by double digits, to be honest, the Packers today. And I like Seattle over the Rams. So if you want my upset pick of the day, the Seahawks are +3. They're +150 on the money line. I think the Seahawks win that game outright. I think it's a great spot for them. So I like Seattle. And then the Chiefs, I like them over the Broncos. Don't really want to lay 4.5. It's a weird number, especially in Mile High, but I do think the Chiefs win over the Broncos today. So that's kind of my thoughts from like a game level. Touchdown parlay, I did put some in today. So I did one with let me see. I don't remember what it pays. Let me put it in and see. I think it was around 11-1, but let me double check. It was just let's see. Yeah, it's almost 12-1 actually. So it was just my favorite 4 guys to score today: Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Rashee Rice. I bet QJ by himself and the first TD, so that's why he's not in there. But Jacobs, Warren, Rashee Rice, JSN, my 2 favorite running backs, and my 2 favorite receivers, around 12-1. So I put that one in. For a ladder play, I think Quentin Johnston is certainly viable. He could catch a couple long ones. And you're probably getting, I don't know even what his prop is. Let me check. It's probably low enough where you can get those like good odds. Let's see. Yeah, he's at 40.5. So, I'd be comfortable taking him 40 plus, which is -120. I'd put a bet on that. And then if you want to get up into like that 60, 70, 80 range, you're getting 2, 3, 4, 6-1, anything after that. So QJ is interesting to me for a ladder play. Can't really ladder JSN because his prop's already so high. So it's probably Quentin Johnston for me. Jacoby Myers prop is 44.5. I honestly like that too. A little bit. Spend down wide receivers on FanDuel. Kevin, are you asking for GPP or cash games? So I think cash games on FanDuel, it's probably the same pool as DraftKings, where you're going to play one spend-up guy, and then you're looking at that range of like Wan'Dale Robinson, Parker Washington. If you want to go one of the Arizona guys, you have like Michael Wilson would probably be better for cash purposes. I guess you have like Shakir in there in the mix as well with no Keon Coleman. That's probably the pool or my thought process on both sides, DK and FanDuel. I think you take one of the spend ups and then you get 2 of those mid-range or cheap guys. So I think Washington, Wan'Dale, Wilson, even Jacoby Myers. I know people are burned on him, but I think he's probably in that mix for me too, honestly. But Washington's safer for for cash purposes. Theo Johnson's fine, Matt, for tournaments. I would rank him behind Kittle and Gadsden, I think, but he's definitely fine. I don't have an issue with him. My issue is more so I think it's a bad matchup for Winston. Like, I think the Giants could really bottom out here and just do nothing. So that would just be my concern with Theo. He's 4,100 though. He does have like red zone touchdown upside, which is hard to come by at tight end. So I don't think he's the worst play, but I don't have any of him. I would rank him behind Gadsden and Kittle in that tier. And I'd probably put him behind Kelsey too. I know that's like a sizable difference because Kelsey's 48 and he's 41, but yeah. Melissa, thank you for asking. Yeah, I do feel a lot better finally. Thank you. I was pretty sick. Nothing worse than being sick, but hey, I don't get sick often. So hopefully that was like my sickness for the year and we just like got it out of the way before we even get to winter. That would be ideal. Do you agree with Winston over Wilson? I do, just because like the Giants stink. So if you're going to stink, you might as well be fun instead of just watching Russell Wilson complete acts of terrorism. Marcus just ran 60 yards. Yeah, I don't have the game on. Hopefully they give Rodriguez a touchdown. That'd be nice. Gadsden, Dortch versus Theo and Wilson. I would take the first one, Matt. So I like Greg Dortch over Michael Wilson personally. Just as a player, like I think Greg Dortch is the Cardinals' best receiver. Like I honestly think that. And we have a good sample size of Dortch being good when guys are out. Like we've seen that. And you also have a little bit of a baked-in risk. Like they can run like some jet sweep stuff with Dortch. He's 500 cheaper. And I don't think the touchdown equity is really that much different. So I like Greg Dortch better. And he's probably going to be lower owned. Hopefully he feels better, Melissa. Your son was sick also. It just like came through. Like my brother got it, gave it to me. And like it's just like was not fun. Half PPR season-long Pearsall or Trey Tucker? I'd rock Ricky Pearsall, CJ. They got to get Chris Rodriguez in the end zone, the one. Like, what are we doing here? He deserves a touchdown. If you guys join late, lineups are posted, all that, bets are posted. Everything's good. So we're just chilling, talking through the slates. Gave out my touchdown picks. Ladder plays, I like QJ potential. I didn't take any, but I like QJ, and I like QJ is probably my favorite. Second and goal from the 4 is what I see. They need to punch this in with Rodriguez. I'm gonna see if I turn the game on real quick. Yeah, good luck today, CJ. I feel, man, we're so due for like a big win. I hope it's Sam Darnold. I missed touchdown picks. Yeah, I did post them, Tony, but I can just run through here. Hold on. Did they just run it down to the 1, Dewan? I just like clicked on this. Tony, touchdown picks. Quentin Johnson is my favorite at 2-1 on DraftKings. I played him by himself, and I played him first touchdown at 10-1. And then for a parlay, I did Jaylen Warren, Josh Jacobs, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Rashee Rice. It's just under 12-1 for that anytime touchdown parlay. But my favorite overall today is QJ at 2-1. All right, it looks like it went to commercial. At the 1, please give it to C-Rod, bro. We deserve it. All right, it is 12 o'clock. If you guys have any other questions, go into the Rolling Insights Discord. You can hop in there for free. There's a link on the homepage at rollinginsights.com. If you can't access it, just DM me, and I will send you the link directly. Get in the NFL channel. If you have any other questions, just tag me in there, and I will answer those. Good luck today. Hopefully we make some money. If you're betting, playing DFS, all that, good luck. I will be live tomorrow at 4 o'clock to preview Monday Night Football. and probably recap a little bit of today as well. Hopefully we're celebrating a big win. So good luck today, guys, and I'll see everybody tomorrow.